Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebar2go.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss a milestone in charitable contributions from the Yellowstone brand for the National Park Service. My name is Miss Becca Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host Steve Akeley, as well as our special guests, Jeff Andreezy and Katie Joyce.
Hey gang, what's up?
Howdy.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, so yeah, we're going to be talking today about Yellowstone, always doing some great things, and they're very passionate about their fundraising to help the parks and stuff like that. Pretty cool stuff. We'll get to that after the break, though. For right now, Miss Becca Sue said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that?
Yeah, so today on a bourbon Facebook club, I guess, community that both Steve and I are actually we're in it. At least we like to see what's happening on there. Someone posted this this article from Yahoo, which who even knew Yahoo still existed. But it's called 11 Popular Bourbon Trends to Avoid.
Yes.
And they give sources on. They've got Lisa Wicker. They say we checked in with a few bourbon experts. It says on here to help make sense of a few things. So they have someone. Let's say our first expert is a guy named Anthony, the creator of the Bourbon Whiskey Library. Lisa Wicker is quoted in this.
I do like Lisa Wicker. I don't know Anthony.
Jake Lewin, co-founder of the Bourbon Lens.
I met him.
And lastly is the creator of the Urban Bourbonist. So that's who they're listing as their
that's their experts. Okay.
Yes, is what they're listing as. And I'm also wondering, because I don't know, this whole thing is pretty interesting. So these are the bourbons that bourbon trends that you should avoid.
Avoid these trends. Okay.
The first one, bourbons with special wood finishes.
I think that's a disservice. There's some good wood finishes out there.
I would agree.
That's growing. It's growing the industry.
Right.
The next one listed is port finished bourbons.
There's whole brands based on finishing their stuff in port, i.e. Angel's Envy, for one.
The next one is rum finished bourbons. I mean, avoid those at all costs.
I like rum finished, actually.
I do too.
Lenny just sent me a sample that I've got to dip into one of these days, a little rum finish.
Oh, yeah. What is the name dropping there?
If
anybody else wants to send any samples and stuff like that, Jeff will share his information at the end.
Yeah, Lenny, yeah.
The next one is, and I do agree with this one, but celebrity-backed bourbon brand.
That's a bad one. That's the first one they hit on, I think.
Agreed.
Right there.
It's like absolutely.
That's a bad trend. Yeah.
The next one they say is limited edition bourbons.
What?
That's such a broad scope as well.
The industry's based on the LEs. I mean, that
was one of the things that was one of the drivers for the boom in bourbon industry in that article in the other show.
It says limited edition or quote unquote rare does not mean it's going to be excellent whiskey.
Well,
Well, I
yeah,
agree,
but there's a
but-
lot of them that are. I mean, so to avoid them, you're really cutting your nose off to spite your face there.
You're
One of those
missing
things.
out.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
Too
dumb thing to give up.
The next one is bourbons with extended aging.
Well, I mean,
Aging can add depth, but too much time can lead to more tannic and unbalanced whiskey, which, yes.
correct. Yeah.
But here's coming from, a younger distillery. All people do is bitch that it's not old enough. But now,
Right.
if it gets too old, apparently people are going to bitch.
Right. Yeah.
So that's.
So from this list, it sounds like if you want to put in no effort into finding these things done well, and if you are completely uneducated and not willing to educate yourself on what different distilleries are doing, then here's things you can avoid to make sure that you just get a consistent mediocre whiskey.
Here's the 7 bourbons you can actually still drink
Right.
after this list.
Right.
I would say I would say that, like, oh, did Maker's Mark make that? But no, wait till we get through it. So Maker's Mark, they clearly did not make this. Although that'd be like a consistent, like, not super expensive one, but there has the wood finishes there, so
Yeah.
obviously they would not support this one. And then also we'll get to another part here as well. Bourbons with fancy labels.
What the hell? We're doing Yellowstone. Look at how fancy that label is. It's awesome, and it has a very fancy label. This is the old label
great.
here. I've got the
Got
old
black
label.
one.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Say it was
Yeah,
Katie.
their labels look great. We got 4 different labels. We just all have.
Avoid it.
And it's raised on this.
Yeah,
so you
it's
can- like,
nice.
The lettering is
Yep. Avoid that at all costs. The next one to avoid: weeded bourbons.
what? What?
Yep.
Weeded bourbons.
What? Who the hell made this list?
Right. Weeded bourbons. Just
It
avoid
was
them.
like they told AI, pick out
Right.
qualities from any whiskey where you can find a single bad review on it across all of the internet.
This
And then they
says-
put those into a list.
Yeah, it says the hype is real, but unless you're a diehard fan of weeded bourbon, the price to quality ratio just isn't justified.
What?
What are they talking about?
Like what? This one seemed like a pretty direct dig, especially by the photo. Bourbons that have been aged at sea.
Katie happens to the Jefferson's Ocean is one of her favorites. So
But that entire lineup I have downstairs in my basement. And the funny thing is, my favorite ocean ages are the weeded.
oh, there you go.
Got the double whammy of what I
You're
should be
breaking
doing.
many rules there.
Yeah.
Get it together, Katie.
Here's
Right?
another. Here's
You're out.
another
You're
one.
out.
A disgrace.
Yeah, here's another one that does actually make sense. Bourbon sold on the secondary market. Yeah.
That's fair. Yep.
Yeah.
I
Get
support.
that.
Okay, they finally said something smart.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's
then
a
the
bad thing.
last one listed is bourbons that cost an astronomical amount.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And
So go
this-
hand in hand
at
with the
least
secondary thing.
Here's one thing here's a good quote. Also, just because it isn't $400 doesn't mean it isn't good. Some of the best bourbon pours are under $50.
Okay.
A major
Yeah.
misconception is that price equals quality. While some expensive bourbons are exceptional, many affordable bottles deliver just as much complexity and enjoyment. Affordable doesn't mean inferior. Sometimes it just means accessible, which I do agree with that. But then here's a finishing quote in this entire thing, which I've not actually read this. Thankfully, you don't have to drop a ton of money on a bottle of bourbon. There's a lot of quality options available that won't break the bank. There are even a handful of bottom shelf bourbons worth buying. After all, bourbon is America's spirit and it's for everyone, not just the elite. So I think that Old Crow wrote this article,
Right. Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
The more I read it, the more I'm wondering which low-end bourbon wrote the article.
That was going to be my question. We got to the end. I was like, do you have a guess of who wrote this? This was their big marketing scheme
Right.
to get people funneled into their very specific offering.
Like,
Yeah.
the weeded bourbon one is just the most. It also is like, is all weeded bourbon expensive?
No.
No.
Maker's
it's
Mark
not.
is weeded.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
not I don't think it's crazy expensive. Larceny is weeded. It can have some expensive ones, but for the most part, it's not.
It's pretty affordable. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
mean,
ridiculous.
that whole article just goes against everything I've been doing with my friends, is exposing to different things. This is taking away all the things you want to try. If you don't ever want to get a dud, then just go with that Buffalo Trace that you tell everyone you love, and just keep doing that. And certainly some things that I've bought aren't as good as some of the others.
Right.
But
that's just life.
The failure rate is really, really low.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just worth a second taste.
Right.
Like sometimes you're like, I didn't really like that. Then you taste it again and you're like, that is actually a lot better than I remember it being.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But that entire article, like, I mean, all the comments underneath of it were like, was this wrote by AI? Like, what idiot wrote this article?
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous.
Because the whole thing is just like, I mean, it's just trying to push like cheap bourbon, I guess. Which is, I mean,
I guess.
I agreed. You don't need to spend a ton of money to get good bourbon, but like, you can get decent bourbon that has different wood finishes or different finishes in general that aren't through the roof, or weeded bourbons. I mean, and why did they specifically point out Jefferson's Ocean? What
I know. Why the personal attack?
That's just mean. That's
like the only one that they just attacked.
Yeah.
Like dead on.
Right.
I think it's okay. So it was somebody who went to like a whiskey event that had some bigger names there and felt like they got snubbed by like the reps of certain brands, or like they were like at an event with like Trey and they like didn't get to talk to him. So like, oh, I'm going to put this article out that steers people away from their brands.
I'm going to teach them.
Yeah, because they have don't they have a rum finish? They've got a port
finish. They do.
They have a weeded.
Piss off. We just need to ask the Jeffersons when they can figure this out for us.
Right. So the one that we generally agreed with was the Celebrity. Are there any bourbons, whiskeys out there that a celebrity has been involved in that has really had some staying power, had some legs?
Yeah.
Anybody that's...
I mean, I think that Brothers Bond one, I think those guys are in it for the long haul, and despite their A-list status, are pretty committed to making good whiskey. So I think those guys are certainly an exception to the rule.
Well, because they're actually in it. A lot of times it's just base, where like these guys are actually
they're involved in the blending and everything else. Yeah. Which is cool.
Bob, Heaven's Gate, Heaven's
Door.
Yeah. Bob has done a great job. Again, not being hands-on, and he's there every day working the distillery. He's got a huge career still. He's out touring right now. But he's spent the money and put the right people in place. I mean, he's got Ken Pierce as his master distiller. This guy's would be a Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Famer. He unfortunately worked for Barton, which, of course, they're not part of KDA. You're probably not going to get in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. You're not part of the KDA. But he's that caliber of distiller, and that's the guy who's making whiskey for him. So, I don't know. It's pretty cool. I think that Jefferson's, let's go back to Jefferson's, I think they had a great celebrity endorsement with Ed Lee. Ed Lee, celebrity chef. And, the chef's collab that he and Trey worked on. I think that's a great whiskey. It's not currently in production right now. Hopefully they bring it back at some point. It's a bourbon rye blend, the first one that I know of. It's kind of a thing these days with your boo ryes and stuff like that. But, they were doing it early on. And, it was designed to pair with spicy chicken. That's what why it was designed. Yeah. So
I'll bring this back to cigars like I often do, Steve. There's a lot of celebrities that jump in and tie themselves to cigars. And I just listened to a podcast and they were talking about the same thing, that really only one right now has gotten some legs, and it really seems to have staying power. So Guy Fieri does a knuckle sandwich with Espinosa cigars. And that one, people are kind of clamoring over each other to get there, but he took a very active role in it and the blending, and he goes and does events with, so it takes.
He's an interesting character, right? Because he's divisive himself. So
he can be. I've met him, and I'm like, I don't ever want to meet you again.
Right.
But
I used to be such a big fan of diners, drive-ins, and dives, and then I would go to the places on the show, and I would always ask, well, what's he like and all that. And never one time did anybody say anything good about him. They're like, no, he just does it for the cameras. He doesn't talk to him. It's kind of rude to him off camera. And then he leaves. As soon as it's over, he leaves. It's all set up for everything's set up. It's not. There's nothing where he's just there, just strolling around having fun. It's all set up. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to taste this here. You're going to walk over here. And I said, his production crew is awesome, but he's kind of a tool.
Well, then I can happily say that his restaurant in Vegas sucks.
Uh-huh.
It was the worst thing I ate the entire time I was there.
Really? Yeah. Interesting. On that note, it's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? I'll go first. I've got the Yellowstone here. This is just the standard one, old label. This was picked in 2019, released in August of 2020. By Jim and I. We did this pick with a group from Total Wine. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, very quiet. Not much going on there, but that is our current lead. Katie's next.
I have the Yellowstone. This one was picked by my local Elks Lodge.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. They did not invite me to be part of it, but, still got a bottle. So maybe they'll learn from their mistakes.
Maybe next time. Wow. That was really good. That was good. That's going to be tough to beat. So we'll see what happens. Becca's next.
I've got a single barrel here. This one, Fonte came and smoked a cigar with us the other day, and he left this one here. But this was a pick from the Kentucky Bourbon Festival.
Okay. Solid, but not enough. Katie's was really explosive. She's got the lead, but Jeff, here last but not least.
So I've got a bottle of American Single Malt, 108 proof.
Okay.
And I brought this one to the show. I'm sticking to that story.
Oh, also really good, but not quite. I think you got second place. There was 3 good. Mine was bad, but the other 3 were really good. But Katie's was just a little step above everyone else. So Katie clearly wins.
Katie.
So cheers.
Cheers.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about Yellowstone and great work that they're doing at a charitable level. We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of executive bourbon steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your executive bourbon steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your executive bourbon steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show. bumpers are unscripted, so go ahead. All right, he's got the Terminator glasses on for inspiration. Go ahead, here we go.
I'll be back. I'm not with that, Steve. Come on.
And you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about Yellowstone bourbon.
Yes, we are. So Yellowstone, back in 2018, partnered up. Of course, being named Yellowstone, and it is named after the park. So there's a lot of people think that it's named after the TV show these days and stuff like that. This is an old brand. This brand's from the 1800s. It's when Yellowstone opened up. There was a traveling sales guy who came back to Kentucky and said, there's this amazing park that's out there. We got to name a bourbon after it. And it's been that way ever since. It's one that was available during Prohibition. And, it's just a brand that's always been there. Was owned by Luxco in St. Louis, and then Steve Beam really wanted it back because it's part of his family heritage, and they worked out a deal where Luxco bought into out his distillery, and the Beam family controls that brand, and they make all the decisions in regard to the whiskey stuff these days about it, so which is kind of cool. But another thing Steve Beam set up was to donate money back to the National Parks Department, which is pretty cool. Yellowstone being part of that system, and they just wrote their most recent check, which took them over the $1 million mark, which is pretty cool.
It's amazing.
And
Wild.
yeah. And they're really even at an incredible time in that the brand is more popular than ever. Again, thanks in large part to the TV show. The TV show did push that brand further than it's ever gone.
Oh, no doubt.
Just awareness about it. And now, part of their new agreement, they just re-upped with the National Parks Department, and they agreed to make a donation of at least $250,000 every year, which is big. So, yeah. So they're going to get to another million even quicker than they did this time around. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Those are big. I mean, the engineer in me says $1 million. That's a lot of zeros. That's really awesome.
Yeah. So, and of course, Steve Beam, he's just a great guy. He loves the national parks, because he's all into, he was a landscape architect. So, in terms of the parks, he loves the parks because he loves the flora that's there and seeing all that kind of stuff. And, having a brand that his family started named Yellowstone is really big for him. So this has got to be a huge point of pride for Steve Beam to be able to accomplish something like this, to be able to give back and do such great work. So it's very.
I mean, what other distilleries do you even know about that are like actively doing stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know of anybody that has one charity that they're giving that sort of money to. I mean, it's a very generous industry. You've seen the bourbon industry step up to when anytime there's been any sort of tragedy, tornadoes in Kentucky and stuff like that, where they've really stepped up and helped out a lot. And, I know a lot of them do ongoing things to help out, whether it's individual people or groups and things like that. So I know they do a good job, but this kind of relationship where they're donating, because Yellowstone does that kind of stuff too. They'll donate a barrel to, Kentucky Relief and things like that. But this relationship that's just ongoing, I don't know of anybody that has something like that. Especially to this level, $250,000 a year now. That's big.
Yeah. Sazerac just did that for the California fires, right? They did the first single barrel of Pappy.
Pappy, yeah. I last checked that. I don't even know if it's still going on or not. Last time I checked, it was sitting at like $980,000 for a barrel. Pappy.
How much?
$980,000.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Fun part, the barrel could be empty.
Yeah, exactly. That's the wild thing, right?
How much are you even going to get out of that barrel?
Man,
I wonder if these people realize how much is in it's a 23.
Yeah, there's not going to be much in there. No,
there's not going to be that much. You're not getting that many barrels.
That's a flex.
Bottles.
That's a flex. I mean, whoever wins this obviously is uber rich. This is someone who can write the check. They're not going to the bank and being like, "Hey, I just really got into this Pappy deal. I need to get a home equity loan to get this." No, This is somebody who has the discretionary money where they'll just write the check. And but man, that's a hell of a flex. Do you think? I would assume that they'll be giving away some of those bottles too. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they're listeners of the shows and they'll send me one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just think if they do, but they send it to McNew. They're like, oh, she loves weeded.
Oh my god.
And I think we'd have to fire her from the show. That would be it.
Yeah,
She'd be
probably.
gone. She'd be gone because we would have to deal with that. She got the bottle of the first ever barrel pick from the thing. So yeah, because like I like weeders.
Like really into weeders and stuff.
It'd be gone in a weekend. I mean, that's the great thing about McNew. Yeah,
You just get trashed on the show drinking it.
right.
Yep.
I don't know. I just like randomly got this bottle of Pappy. I have like no idea where it even like came from. It was just like, I don't know, like really cool. It just showed up in my house. So I like just popped it open.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks. Then finally reads it as it's almost gone. Oh my god.
Oh my god, this is like really
This
special.
says it's 1 of 15.
I feel like that's not many.
Oh,
God.
yeah. I remember when Larceny first came out with the barrel picks and stuff like that, and it's cast strength, which you didn't get Larceny cast strength before, and then it's cast strength barrel picks. And I remember Jeremy Shell got one and sent it to McNew, and she did a video of her getting it off her porch, opening it up, and literally she cracks it open right there on the video within 10 seconds of getting it, and is drinking it. Pours a big rocks glass full of it, and that's how I see her doing it with this. If she got the Pappy bottle,
For sure.
same thing, just cracks right into it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Someone sent me Pappy.
Made to be consumed.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah. It's meant to be consumed. I get that, but it would be nice if someone does get a bottle to share it with their friends. Then,
Exactly.
Yeah. Get a ABV Network bottle share, and then you crack that out and be like, "Hey, how cool is this? Here's that special bottle we all heard about, where the barrel went for over $1 million. That would be pretty wild." So
It would be.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really cool if they or at least some of the bottles that they got after that also did an auction with those.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. Yeah. They could
double donation.
They could take it even further with because those will be highly coveted bottles, of course. So first
they
ever
will.
barrel pick of Pappy. Yeah, that's maybe
insane.
the only one ever. Maybe the only
Might
one
be.
that'll ever be done. Who knows? I mean, took them this long to do it now, so yeah, it's wild. Buffalo Trace is pretty damn cool. They do a lot of.
Are they letting them do the barrel pick themselves, or are they like picking you're getting a barrel pick?
Oh,
like
they get to do it's a whole experience. So yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like knocking on that barrel, seeing like let's see how
Right.
full this one is. Anyways, like trying to like pick it up a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Feats of strength.
Beats of strength. Yeah.
How
Very
much
cool.
we got in this?
You walk in with your scale ready.
Right.
What are you doing? Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it. I've got a
Nothing.
method.
Right.
There cannot be very much left
No.
at all.
Yeah. Well, so that's wild. Wild stuff. So on that note, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Jeff, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
I'll be standing on the porch waiting for that delivery of Pappy Single Barrel. But in the meantime, Facebook, Instagram, and the Cigar Dojo, Jeff Andreezy, 2 I's and 2 Z's.
All right. Katie.
You can find me over on Instagram at KatieProof.
Okay. Miss Becca Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Becca Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right. For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. I think it's abvnetwork.com. Check that one out. Everything that we do is out there. Of course, come by and see us, the ABV Barrel Shop. We're always getting new barrel picks in. We want to share those, so come by and check us out. You can find out more about what we have going on over at abvbarrelshop.com. Miss Becca Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. 5-star review. That includes comments. It also helps new people find the shows, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. Farnance, we have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. The ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.